All right. Hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. It's really incredible to have you all here. And I'm very excited to have two of our prominent scholars, prominent PhD students in the making to join us today. I'm truly excited. I know that they have, in their first year of the PhD can be very challenging, but the fact that they have given us their time, it's truly an honor, and thank you both so much for joining me. So I would just kind of like to start with a general overview of what the webinar will be about. So we will basically start with an introduction. Of course, you would like to know more about your speakers. This might be the people that you will reach out to one day whenever you start working on your application. So I think getting to know them a little bit will be wonderful. And of course, after the introduction, I will ask our speakers to talk a little bit about their, I guess, time back in Nigeria before coming to the United States. And of course, that will include the schools they attend, the activities they participated in, and all of that, because I know that you are in their situation in this moment. Some of you might still be in their undergrad. Some of you graduated for a little while. And as you prepare the applications, essays, and proposals for the postgraduate or for the graduate program, I think getting to know their experiences and how they also started theirs will definitely help you. Um, and of course, after that, not only that, they will also share their experiences when they decided to come to the United States, how they made that decision. And of course, I will not get into details because they will talk a little bit about that. But that's what we will also cover, so that that will give you an idea of like, okay, now that I'm interested and now that I really am very passionate about this specific topic, how do I go about it? I'm hopeless, right? Helpless. I don't know how to start it. So I think that talking about the experiences will definitely help you see the bigger picture. And after that, I have prepared a couple of questions, and I actually framed these questions around the questions you all submitted when you were filling out the form for this webinar. So I hope by talking about the experiences, they are able to address these questions. But if not, there will be time for Q&A. So feel free to jump in or post your questions in the chat below. And of course, they will definitely address that, hopefully. Well, anyways, so that's the general overview of this webinar. And I'll kind of give you also an idea how this webinar came to be. Well, I was born and raised in northeastern Nigeria. I'm from Chibok, and I'm currently a fourth year PhD student at University of California, Berkeley, where I study political science. Specifically, I study political violence, and I'm looking at how ordinary people protect themselves, their communities, and their families when they are caught in violent events, especially insurgent violence. So I have met a lot of incredible Nigerians here in the United States. And each time I introduce myself, they will always, be like, oh my goodness, you're the first, person from the North. I'm like,
Yeah.
wow. Yes, a lot of interesting PhD students, master students, but they will always be like, I never met anybody from the North. You're the first person, and I'm excited. And of course, as much as I'm also excited, I think we need more Northerners here. This is not to say that this is solely for people from the North. Of course, if you are from any part of Nigeria, we are so happy that you join us. So yeah, this is just a little bit about me. And I'm very excited that after that, after thinking about those ideas, like I asked myself, what can I do to maybe try to encourage people to explore all the interesting opportunities that are out there, right? Because I know that it's not that people don't want to, it's just that people have limited information about what already existed out there. So I think that people say information is power, and I think taking this step, it's an advancement toward achieving that. So anyways, I'm so glad that we are having this webinar, and I will now pass to our speakers to introduce themselves. If you be open to tell us about yourself, your name, your country, state of origin, where you are joining from, your current status, area of study, and just briefly about where you were, and what you did, I guess here in the United States before joining whatever you are doing in the moment. So I would like Hussein to start, if you don't mind. Thank you so much again for joining us.
All right. Yeah, thank you very much for the introduction. And I would like to start by saying my name. My name is Hussein Orekoya, and I'm a Nigerian, of course. And I'm from the southwestern part of Nigeria, from Ogun State by origin, and growing up in Lagos. And I embarked on my journey to the United States in 2023 through the Mastercard Financial Scholarship for my master's program. And it was a very nice opportunity to have the experience of a global education, and also like having the opportunity to leave the shores of Africa to come to the North America for higher education. And I think that has been a very incredible opportunity that I can't even trade for anything. And from there, I've started my PhD program in civil engineering at the University, as Texas Tech University. I would like to say the University of Texas Tech, the Texas Tech University. So, and it's also a fully funded program, and it's just like being paid to study and like so. And that's the beauty part of you being a scholar and trying to like get opportunity to study without you working, or particularly not being burdened with the expenses that comes with education in America, because it's very expensive. So, and I think that's more the reason why we are doing this webinar, to share some strategies and mindsets to have when you're applying for opportunities like this to fund your studies, and also to give the kind of encouragement that comes with maybe rejections. Because particularly for my own story, I applied for the Mastercard Financial Scholarship for a master's 3 times. So I'm, the kind of resilience. Not That's not the only program I applied for. I applied to a lot of known scholarships across the world, like the Commonwealth and the likes. But eventually, I have to settle down for the Mastercard, not because it's the only one, but it's the best one out there. So I think I would like to share more about this later on when we continue the conversations. Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Hussein, for the kind
Yeah,
introduction. It's really truly excited to have you here.
yeah.
So okay, please.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Hi guys. Welcome to the seminar. Um my name is Okechukwu, but I always go by Okay. I am from Abia State, Nigeria. Um yeah, I'm currently based in Los Angeles, where I am working on my PhD at the University of California, Los Angeles. And I'm studying cultures and performance. My research focuses on indigenous epistemologies, embodiment, and environmental relationships. In fact, I am particularly interested in how people and wildlife can cohabit without killing each other. My journey actually started just like Hussein's. I was a masterclass scholar at UC Berkeley, where I got my master's in folklore. And right now, I am continuing my academic training, like I mentioned, at UCLA. And I'm really looking forward to what we're going to gain and what we can pass, the knowledge we can pass to you guys from this webinar. You're welcome.
Awesome. Thank you both so much for the kind introduction, and what an honor to be joined by these two former incredible Mastercard Scholars programs. Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now we will kind of get into getting to know a little bit about your background, your prior background before coming into the United States. As you know, some of these, some of our participants are in your shoes, what you guys experienced before joining the master, I guess the master's program in the United States. Right now, like I mentioned earlier, some of these people already graduated, some are still in their undergrad program. So if you don't mind telling us a little bit about which school in Nigeria you went to, university, by the way. I know you attended so many schools, but we want to know about the universities you attended in Nigeria, what you did, like what you studied, the year of graduation, if you don't mind, because some people maybe graduated a couple of years ago and maybe they might feel like, will this be a right time for me to actually move forward with this because I graduated, a long time ago. So if you don't mind telling us about that, what type of activities, what of types of school activities you participated in when you were in your undergrad. And I'm asking this because I can imagine they played significant role in, I guess, in the applications or when you started applying for, I guess, the master's programs back in Nigeria. I can imagine you using some of these activities, right, to increase your chances of gaining admission. So I would like you to kind of talk about those experiences if you don't mind. We'll start with you, okay?
Well, thank you. This is a tricky question for me because my academic journey in Nigeria is a little bit unconventional. I've been to all kinds of schools. Um, Primarily, I graduated from Abia State Polytechnic in Abia State. Then I moved on to get a degree at the University of Uyo in Akwa Ibom State. That's where I completed my undergrad. So I had the national and I have a higher national diploma, and I have a bachelor's degree, all in banking and finance. And then I know it's kind of also confusing to think that, oh, you studied banking, how did you move to the humanities? So I had to switch to the humanities because I was interested in understanding culture, storytelling, and how knowledge shapes social and environmental realities. Also, I've had the privilege to intern in a bank, worked in a bank for a while. But then my interest, what makes me happy, as we used to say, was in storytelling and writing. While I was in school, one thing that I did outside of the classroom was I love writing. I have a blog where I write about, things that just come to me. Also about my research plans and research development. I write poetry. I write short stories, imaginations that come from my head. I write book reviews. I had all kinds of intellectual engagement with cultural and environmental passions in mind, which later strengthened my graduate applications and research direction. I remember the first time I connected to the department at UC Berkeley, um, I had to show them what I was doing, and they were like, "Oh, you already a scholar, in the making." So that really helped me. The extracurricular activities like writing, blogging, doing personal research helped me to get the ball rolling for what I want in the future.
Fascinating, fascinating. Thank you so much for sharing. And yeah, I do believe that those external, internal activities, they do help, right? In whatever you, it's not only you have a passion for whatever you really want to study, but showing that you actually have the ability, you can actually do it, or you are doing so, you're already doing something to advance that. I think it's very important. So thank you so much for sharing that, okay. So, Hussein.
Yeah, for me, I did my bachelor's in civil engineering at the Federal University of Technology, Akure, in Ondo State. And from there, I think I started in 2011 and graduated in 2016. So I think this year makes it 10 years uh, after a bachelor's degree. So it's a very nice experience. And during my time at FUTA, that's Federal Institute of Technology, Akure, I was able to get a lot of how do I put it, orientation concerning extracurricular activities that really supported my academic study. And then while I was at the university, I served as the Southwest coordinator for the Nigerian Institute of Civil Engineers student affiliate. So through that experience, I was able to interact with students or civil engineering students across the southwestern part of Nigeria and even all across Nigeria generally. So that really added to my understanding about leadership and also to get information about maybe scholarships and things like that. Because I would say that most people will have been encouraged to do maybe like to go for scholarships if they have the information. So through that extracurricular activities that really helped me to have the information. I even made people in person. So then I also get to know about being a student member of the American Society of Civil Engineers right from Nigeria. I think that was around 2014. I became a member, have my certificate and the likes. So those are the kind of the build up that leads to having information about scholarships. So and from there, moving out from university, going to serve Nigeria in northern part of Nigeria for the NYC. So during that period of time as well, I was about all this kind of CDS program. So at that point in time too, I also served as the road marshal. What do you call it then? Yeah, for the road safety club then. So all of this really adds up into the kind of story that you tell during your application, and also the kind of people that you meet that will give you information around that. So with that, staying in Kano for 5 years, studying and working. So I started working as a civil engineer on a mass housing project in Kano State before moving down to Lagos maybe around 2021, 2022. So during that period of time, I was really acquiring the work experience. And from there, the story has started building up. And one strategic move for me that really helped my career and my 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 niche in civil engineering is uh, the leverage of climate change and sustainability in engineering. And that's what I feel like if you look at it in Nigeria generally, looking at people that, or let's say professionals in civil engineering that have vast experience in climate change and sustainability, I think that will be among the first two. This is not exaggeration, but because right from 2020, 20, what's call it, 2016, thereabouts, I started researching about, what's call it, climate change and whatever it is. And I would like to also mention about my non-profit organization. Yeah. So because during that period of time, I was also like volunteering. So all of this really adds up to whatever you want to write in your story. Because then I founded my Environment is My initiative for environmental and climate advocacy in Nigeria. So with that, doing that and taking a lot of fellowship trainings around climate change, sustainability, energy, and the likes. So it really adds up and helping to also like create a niche around merging engineering and climate change. And that's even what I'm even also doing right now in my PhD because I'm working on disaster risk management for resilient housing and community development. So it's really starting from the university. So and I believe people that will be listening to this webinar we have a way to sit down and track their record and look at where have I have the major effort. So focusing on that very well, I think it will really make a lot of sense. And that also resonates with what okay has also said about his own way of having a banking and finance experience, and now looking at what he wants to do in terms of storytelling and humanities, and how that really revolve into what he's doing currently. So, sorry, anybody that looks at whatever you have been doing, either you have a strong hold in your extracurricular activities or you have a strong hold in your academic training, because some people have maybe like first class is a very sweet stuff. But for me, I don't have a first class, I have a 2-1. But that doesn't really also maybe like disturb me from pursuing this scholarship and getting it. And I also know of a lot of people that also have maybe like lesser grade in terms of maybe like two or third class that also got scholarships too. So that is also a kind of encouragement for you to not limit yourself without trying. So I think that's what I want to say for now. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is fascinating. Like it's very inspirational.
Yeah.
Thank you both for sharing your experiences. And I think that was very insightful, honestly. I think what I actually took from this is that volunteering matters. It doesn't matter how big or small it is. And of course, leadership also matters. You can do a lot in your communities. It doesn't have to be, I guess, when you're already in your undergrad. If you graduated a very long time ago, there are a lot of opportunities, a lot of things to do to take that leadership role. That is very important. And also networking, right? Getting to know people, engaging in maybe social networks. I know that can be a bit challenging, especially if you already graduated and if you don't
Mhm.
have the information. How do you go about all of this? I can see how challenging that can be, but it is not impossible. In these days of like, social media, technology, you can always search for different programs in your communities. In Nigeria, you can travel to, I guess, to connect with people. I think that is very powerful. And of course, extracurricular activities. And so that's also relates to engaging in community activities and all of that. And like I said, it doesn't matter how big or small it is. Trust me, when you tell that story in your essay, in your proposals, they do matter. And we see two different stories, even though they are very similar, right? Uke started as in a totally different course, and now he's doing something totally different. However, the experiences he gained back then actually has helped him, along this journey. I think it's important, even if you started from something different or you started with something different, it does not matter. As far as you are passionate about something at the moment, it's all that matters. And if you have the urge, you have the desire to actually explore that, and I think that will definitely be very important. And like Hussein, he actually started with the same thing, and this is what he continues doing. So you can change what you are doing now, or you can continue doing what you already been doing. Honestly, at the end of the day, what I learned that it truly doesn't matter as far as you are passionate about this, and as far as you do all that it takes to actually gain the experiences and to make you stand out as an applicant. I think that's what will lead you towards that success. So thank you both for sharing that. So
Yes.
now let's move to, I guess, decision to I get to study in the United States. I think that's that's like in addition to what you both share, I think that's very important, right? Because there are so many people who are interested in actually studying outside Nigeria. People dream about this a lot. However, some people may have started the application, not successful. Some people may have gained admissions, not fully funded. And some people just, they dream, but they don't know how to, I guess, dream beyond that, right? So how, I guess, if you both don't mind telling us about your journey to the decision of coming to the United States, did you just wake up one day and like, and I think Hussein, you actually kind of started highlighting that, right? You participated in all these activities. You started this program. You networked with people. Okay, I'm so impressed that you even was it Hussein or okay, sorry, pardon me. Someone actually applied, for Mastercard's scholars program more than once. I think Hussein.
Yeah.
You didn't give up, right? You
Mhm.
keep trying. You tried at first, and if that didn't happen, keep trying, never give up. I think that's fundamental. So what led you both to study in the US? Did you just wake up one day? I guess when the decision happened, uh, did it start like way earlier than joining to your undergrads or during the undergrad programs? And just I would like you to walk us through these steps, if you don't mind. And of course, through the time you thought about the decision, the steps you took toward achieving that, the resources also, the resources you came across, who you worked with, if any, to the time you finally obtain admissions and fully funded scholarships. And that this is where I think I would like you both to talk about. Okay, I'm trying to move to the next slide to kind of show the MasterCard. Oh, here. Yeah, I would like you both to kind of talk about, the Mastercard Foundation Scholars Program. How did you hear about this? Like, where did you get it, and how did you go about obtaining this scholarship? So this time, who started first earlier? I don't remember who. I think.
Let me go then, so that
Okay, yeah.
my brother we support the motion then. So I think my decision to apply, or let's say to wanted to study abroad and going to the US in particular started right from when I was at the university in Nigeria, Futa. So then I think I was being able to, okay, in my school then do have a kind of partnership with a US university, whereby there's a kind of partnership for students in their fourth year to transition to a US university, specifically Florida A&M University. So then some of my colleagues, like four of my classmates, transitioned to the US to complete their study. And most of the time, around that period of time, it's usually for students that their parents are really wealthy. So for me, looking at my background or where I'm coming from, I'm not the only one my father gave birth to. So he can't sell his land to send me to school abroad. That's why I thought I really wanted to have that kind of opportunity. So I have to look inward. Okay, what do I have? Okay, sit down. Okay, there are a lot of scholarships that are really out there. So, but one thing that if I have to go back to school now, what I would have done better is to make sure that I get a first class. Not because it's the only thing, but around that period of time when it was around, maybe, let's say 2016 to 2019, the amount of people that get a lot of scholarships are usually first class students. It's very nowadays. I think the standard is now becoming reduced or less relaxed for 2-1 student and 2-2 students to even get scholarship. But back then, it's usually mainly for maybe first class students. So I didn't have that information then. As soon as I had it, or I have kind of orientation, or let's say motivation or mentorship, I believe I've spent a lot of time studying and chasing that first class degree. So, but eventually, when I didn't get that, what I did strategically was, like, when I finished from school, my colleagues who are first class students, they created a group for scholarship hunters. Let me put it that way. So there's a WhatsApp group then that scholars, there's people that want to get scholarships are on that group. So I joined the group. I was just monitoring whatever they're saying. So a lot of students get their scholarship from the UK, Hong Kong, in China, and the likes, fully funded. So that really excited me very well. And I used social media strategically too around that period of time. Because I felt I was not even in Lagos. I was in Kano State. So most of the time when I have my internet connection and likes, I connect with people who have gotten scholarships. So I would like to mention some people's name, but there are some of my friends who are kidney scholars. So I connected with them on Facebook, and we get connected, and like I have to go ahead and read their stories. So one thing I now did was evaluating what they have and what I didn't have. They are very good in writing. And for
Mm.
me, as an Nigerian student, I was very much scared in writing. Even putting my thoughts into paper is If it's not mathematics and let us break down equations, don't call me. So at that time, like, this is my deficiency and I have to do something about it. So I started taking those steps and writing those stuff. But later on, because of the flair I have for America, particularly because of the noise and the news about America is great, this and that and that. And I think I applied for achievement scholarship for the UK 4 times. That's 4 years. So I couldn't get out. Like, no, I'm not going again. So I have to sit back and look at the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship. After that time, I think it was also coming up in terms of funding of scholars across universities. So mostly they have partnership in UK and US. So I even applied to the, like, I think 2022, it was 2021 rather. I applied to like 5 Mastercard partnership schools. Saint-Cyprus in France, Edinburgh in the UK, McGill in Canada, and even UC Berkeley then. So but all of those stuff was zero. So it was really painful and really like like waste of energy. And then I was also like improving on my writing. So I have to meet my friends. Like, what I have to take a lot of courses on storytelling, how to write a story of one, all the kind of strategies that are very much interesting in writing your story. And then I have to start reading my friends' stories too, who have won the scholarships. There's particular my friend Kayo Delaby is an emotional writer. You know, I say emotional writing, you will read it and your head will be swelling like this. because, because they are very good in writing the story, and I have to now sit back and analyze my own story in line with what the guy have. And we have the same, like we all suffered in Nigeria. So bring your suffering story too, put it together, and all these extracurricular activities that you've done, put them together as well. And that is what really formed my decision to come to America, because I feel like, and particularly in America, universities too, they are mostly focused on technology programs like engineering. So in other Mastercard scholarship, in other schools, they're mostly like there's a social sciences based programs. So that's what really finally make my decision to come to America. But the journey is not like one step like that. I've tried a lot of places and said, okay, fine, okay, I think now I need to consolidate my energy. At some point, my friend was like, okay, try another place. So I said, no, I want to go to America. Like, because I've really analyzed what is really like my own standpoint. I know, okay, engineering is very much attainable in America. So let me put in for that area very well and say the story. And one other thing that I also want to mention before I drop my mic is like the the extracurricular activity that you're doing must be strategic. As between 2016 to 2021, 22 that I got a scholarship, I was able to target fellowship trainings. So in 2026, 2016, rather, I got to know about the Young African Leaders Initiative yearly program. So during the yearly program, I applied in 2016. I didn't get it. In 2018, I got a yearly fellowship to travel to Ghana. So then, when I was in Ghana, that program was funded by Mastercard, partially funded by Mastercard and the USAID. So that's what I know about Mastercard Foundation specifically. So that was my first encounter with what's Mastercard. And then in Ghana, where we are being treated like, I won't say like a king, but we are being treated like a scholar that we are. You know, like, you don't cook, you sleep in the 5-star hotel. You know, things like that. You travel, you go around and see places. So that's sweet experience. Like, no, I have to focus on my study. You know, so I started looking for a lot of fellowships to add to my what's called portfolio, and also do a lot of extra activities. So from there, I got a lot of fellowship at the same time to targeted on climate change and sustainability related stuff like that, to make sure that the story is really in line, showing that yes, you know what you want to do and you have a goal in mind. So I think that's basically the story, and it's just about working with people, knowing people that are better than you, approaching them for support, and also like taking your time to study what did they do that you're not currently doing, that you might need to do. For example, some of the others might say, okay, I don't have a lot of extracurricular activities that I'm doing. How can I find organizations that are in line with what I want to volunteer with, or volunteer on? Be with them, even any small role that you can build your skill on. Take on that role and make sure that you put in your effort to have something you can really write about. And I think that's basically what it's because those decisions are not just really like one like that. So I think it's really like strategic and you have to curate everything very well. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. This is very interesting,
Yeah.
honestly. I think determination, resilience, and
Sure.
strategic, you just have to keep going and know how to go about, I guess, all these opportunities that are out there. Thank you
Hmm.
so much for saying,
Yeah.
for sharing your experiences and your journey. That was very powerful. And I'm so glad that you didn't give up. That's why
Yeah.
you're a PhD student.
Yeah.
Right now. So it's really great. So let's pass the mic to Uche.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, Hussein. I we share the same kind of story.
Yeah. You're my brother now.
Um, Mastercard scholars, we have something in common, and
Yeah.
that's hard work and resilience.
Yeah.
Resilience in the sense that you don't give up.
Hmm.
You fail, you try again, and you fail, you try again until you get it. That's also my story. So my journey to the US actually, I never really thought I would be in the US because, like you say, Hussein, like we always Nigerians, we have this history with the UK. We
Hmm.
always wanted to go to the UK. It's closer, it's almost on the same time zone, Greenwich Meridian, and the masters is usually 1 year or even less.
Yeah.
So we were like, oh, we should go there. We have this long history. But then my journey started when my father died.
Yeah.
Um, I was 15 years old. I just finished high school. And then my father died, and I was like, oh, my mom was a teacher and she was taking care of everybody in my house. I wouldn't go so deep, people who know me. But then, yeah, I started researching by myself. That time we have what we call cyber cafes. I think we still have them now. Like
Yeah.
I go to the cyber cafe,
Yeah.
I make research about scholarships to study. But then I just finished high school. But then that trajectory kind of made me start thinking, okay, I want to do something great. I want to be something great. I don't want to settle. I want to
Mm,
be greater than what I was or I will be. And I want to help people too.
mm,
So I started researching. Okay, fast forward, I learned that most of the scholarships that I found online that time was meant for masters and PhDs. In fact, there were scholarships for undergrads, but it was competitive, and if you don't have someone guiding you, you're not gonna get it. So, I said, okay, I could just focus and get my degree, first degree in Nigeria, which is the undergrad. Then I can try this one. By that time, I should be a little bit matured, and that was exactly what I did. After my bachelor's degree, I started applying for scholarships. But how I did it was I was applying to scholarships to banking and finance courses.
Okay.
Um, but then each time I apply, I start to understand that I don't really love this banking and finance thing. It's not that I don't like money. Of course, I love money. But the thing is, I started seeing that I wasn't really into the managerial courses. But then I saw that I have skills in writing, in storytelling, in culture, and learning about cultures and using cultures to create something interdisciplinary, something different. And I started thinking about anthropology. I started thinking about folklore. I started thinking about cultures and performances. And that's how I started doing research on universities that do something that I want to do. I got accepted to several universities, but the funding was not enough. I can remember sometimes I get full tuition, but the cost of living, like you said, mentioned, we come from backgrounds, low income backgrounds, and I couldn't afford to pay the rest of the bill. So I wanted something full scholarship. And then I wasn't really thinking about the US. but as God will have it, um, my applications to other places, one way or the other, I applied to Commonwealth scholarships, I applied to Shivning, I applied to um, yeah, MasterCard in Lebanon, in Cienspo, I think, one time. And I do get in, but I don't get the funding, or sometimes I get partial funding. So, but one time I tried UC Berkeley.
Yeah.
Um, I got in, and I got the scholarship. But I will talk a little bit how I got in, because I have to do the research. I
Mm.
didn't go for MBA because I could have, because I studied banking and finance, right? But I decided to go with what I love doing, which is storytelling, which is, folklore anthropology. And then when I was doing the research, I found on the website that UC Berkeley offers the Mastercard scholarship to people who want to study folklore. You see, so I had to change my mindset from banking and finance to folklore and anthropology. So that was it. First of all, you have to do your research on what you want to do. If you don't see exactly what you want to do, think about what can I do alternatively
Mhm.
in connection to what I have been doing, you have been doing, like, casually.
Mm.
Um, then the next thing I did was I started writing essays. I write very bad essays then. So, like Hussein mentioned, you have to reach out to people. I had a lot of people who helped me. I have this mentor from Germany. Um, I met him in Nigeria one time, and I was like, told him, "Hey, I've been applying and I don't get in. I have all the things that can qualify me for the scholarship, but because I don't know how to write my story, to tell all my story very well, I didn't get in." But then he said, "Oh, don't worry." So he sent me his essays, and I read everything. I was like, wow. I mean, I could really get this. I just have to tailor it properly. So yeah, that's one thing. Writing a strong statement of purpose. Then you have to have I mentioned about mentors. Um, then apply. There's this saying in Africa: you don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Mm.
You have to apply broadly to many programs. You might apply to Estonia, you might apply to Russia, you might apply to Israel, you might apply to South Africa, you might apply to countries that you don't even think you want to go to. Because if you tell me I will be in Los Angeles today, I would tell you is a lie, because I was actually looking at London, Edinburgh, Cardiff, you know, Leeds. So the detour actually led me to something better, because I
Mm.
think UC Berkeley and UCLA is the best for me.
Mm.
It really works out for me. So then I applied to many scholarships. There's Shivnin and Commonwealth for the UK. There's Mastercard in Lebanon, in France, in South Africa, in the US, in I think in Nigeria. We started also a Mastercard scholarship in Nigeria, in Pan Atlantic University in Lagos, I think. In Ghana, of course, and then in Morocco. I been in Kenya, Ethiopia. So you have to research broadly across fields, and then look for alternatives. Like, if I can't do this, can I do the other one? Then can I start working to build a portfolio that suits the new thing that you want to do? Because when I applied to folklore, I had no degree, no bachelor's degree in folklore and anthropology, but I had my blog where I put all my writings about culture in, and then that was the link I sent to the school, and they were like, "Okay, we think you can do this." Yeah. So have research conversations, look for mentors. Now we are having this seminar. One of the goals is to also help mentor. What we're doing now is mentorship too. So, but we can also do one-on-one mentorship. If you Google us, get our contacts, you can reach out to us, and you want someone to read your essay. I've read several essays, people's essays, and some of them got in. And I'm proud to say that, yeah, that a lot of people get in through me too. Um, and the ladies, the female gender, Mastercard scholarship prioritize you guys a lot. Out of
Ladies.
yeah, out of every four people giving a scholarship, three are girls. Unless
Wow.
yeah, that's the rule. Like 75% of
Okay, ladies, let's
global
go.
scholarship.
Let's go. Let's go.
So yeah, ladies, this is your time.
Yeah.
Mastercard scholarship, prioritize you guys. In my own time, we were four people that were taken from Nigeria. I was the only guy. So the other three were ladies, and it's also on the website. Like 75% of the scholarship go to ladies. So this is your time to apply. All you have to do is just get a good watch the timeline, get a good mentor, and write good statements and good references too. So maybe I can talk about that later.
Mhm.
Wow. Oh, wow. This is a wow, you both. The information you shared. I think it is incredible, and you did a lot, and I can imagine people learning from your experiences. I think they are rich, honestly. And I think what's very important, and all of what you said really are really important, but I think determination matters. You have to be very determined. You really have to want to do this, not only to get out of Nigeria, not only to
Mm.
like, I'm tired of Nigeria, I'm leaving this country, let me look for something. No, it has to start. There has to be a foundation. You have to be passionate about something. And not only that, you have to be also very determined. And of course, resilience, that really matters, right? Because you will be rejected. You will apply to so many programs, scholarship, admissions. Well, you might not always get those. But is it
Mhm.
time for you to give up? Then no. You have to be very resilient. You have to tell yourself that even though this is challenging, I'm not getting it. I will continue get doing this over and over again until I get it. So
Mhm.
resilience matter, and also reaching out to people, right? There are so many people with experiences like us, for example, right? I cannot speak about a lot of things because when I started my PhD, I was already in the United States, and I also did my undergrad here, so I didn't go through the experiences both Uke and Hussein went through. However, I can still speak on so many things. So reaching out to people who already been there, people who experiences this, I think that is very powerful. And make connections, right? Reaching out to people, you make connections. This might be people that will read the proposals. This might be the people that will share opportunities with you. You never know. So I think reaching out to people, make connection, and even though some people might not definitely get back to you, that is okay. Disturb us. Disturb us because we are busy. It's not that we don't want to, I guess, respond to your email or respond to your text, but it's because we are very busy. However, reaching out to us, reminding us with follow-ups, I think that will definitely force our hands to respond.
Mhm.
And you also have to be very strategic, right? You don't just do activities and then you see an opportunity, you go for it. No, you have to read about the mission of the scholarship. You also have to read about what they are committed to. You have to know about these opportunities fully, so that the activities or your skills and the experiences you have, you are able to strategically connect your story, like Hussein say, tell your stories, the painful ones. You
Sincerely, is at some point
um,
when I send my story to my family members, they were like, "So you are using our life to go and get money?"
Yes, yes. Like for example, we can never give up. And I'm so
Mhm.
sorry, Uke, about your dad.
Yeah,
He's very proud of what you are doing at this moment. So we people go through a lot. We all go through a lot, but at the same time, it's the decision we make that definitely defines our success.
yeah.
I think that yeah, stay connected and resilience, that's very important. And also believe in yourself, right? Because sometimes when you are rejected, you feel discouraged. You feel like, am I not important? It's what I'm doing, it's not important. It's not that it's not important, but however, you see, these scholarships are very competitive. You just, the way you went about it is actually what leads to the rejection. It's not about you as a person, it's not about your worth, because the fact that you are taking that step itself, it's an achievement, because so many people, didn't go for it, but you did. I think that's very important to know. So believing in yourself, believing that you can actually contribute to something. You see challenges around you that you want to address, and the only person that can do that, it's you. Regardless of how many people are doing, you are one of those people. So you have to believe in yourself and believe in your potentials and your ability. So yeah, and Uke said you can, like, we go back to Uke's example, because you can change a course of study. You are not married to whatever you are doing in the moment. I think all that matters is the experiences you are gaining from what you are doing. The
The passion.
experience, exactly, the passion, the experiences you gain in your undergrad. I think that's all that matters, right? The skills. And so you don't have to, I guess, study engineering. You don't have to study political science. You don't have to study sociology, whatever that may be. You don't actually have to do that. As far as you know how to strategically frame your essays, as far as you know how to strategically go about, I guess, connecting your essays, your stories with, the missions of these programs, you will be successful. You will definitely be successful. And I think one of the important things that both of our speakers have said is be open-minded. You have to be open-minded, because if you say, well, I'm strictly going to focus on this, there's no way I will go back to, or there's no way I will be open to other options around me, right? They explore all different options that were there for them. They apply to different scholarships from different universities across the world. It does not have to be the United States. It does not have to be only Canada. It does not have to be only the UK. It does not have to be only China. You can explore all the options that are out there. I think at the end of the day, it's all about the program and all about the scholarship, right? You ended up going to Canada. That's perfect. Canada is great. As far as they have the program you want and it's fully funded, I think that's all that matters. So explore, be open-minded. You don't have to strict yourself to say, if not the United States, then I am not going to apply for any graduate programs. Don't do that. And you can also still be in Africa, actually. Like, you could be still in West Africa, like in Ghana. They have a lot of opportunities, like Hussein mentioned earlier, right? You could be in East Africa, you could be in South Africa, North Africa. Yeah, probably. I don't hear a lot of things from that part of the continent, but I think that exploring the options that present themselves, it's definitely I guess a way forward, a way toward achieving the goals that you really want to achieve. And you could do your master different in a different country. You could do your master's in a different country, and then later on you can transfer to another country. So I think it's all about the journey and the decision you make. So this is very powerful, and I'm so glad that our speakers highlighted their experiences and shared everything there is to be. So thank you so much, both, for sharing your experiences. I think we are way over time. I don't know if you'll be able to stay 5 minutes. I have just a couple of questions that I would like you to answer maybe in 2 minutes, if that's okay. If not, then I think that if anyone is interested in reaching out to both of you, learning more about the programs, learning more about the opportunities that are out there, they should definitely reach out to you.
I can stay for 10 minutes.
Hussein, what about you?
Let me do like my brother.
Oh, thank you so much. I know,
That's
like
my
I
man.
said, you are both busy, and the fact that
Yeah.
you are, giving us your time, I think that's very kind of you. So thank you so much. So and you already started speaking on this, but I think that some of the questions that some of our participants asked were filling out the application, we're filling out the forms for this webinar. It's what makes proposal attractive or successful essays for the admissions, right? And I think, like you said, you have to be very strategic. You have to not only know about what you want to do, but also about the program you're applying to. And you already answered the question. Actually, I'm so glad what you talk about already answered a lot of the questions they asked, such as like how did you both come to learn about fully funded opportunities such as the MasterCard scholars, program. You already answered that. So if you don't mind, maybe 2 minutes telling us, like, what makes an attractive proposal, what makes you stand out, right? Because there are so many people who apply for these programs, yet you were chosen. So
Mm.
or what made you different from
Mm.
the people who applied?
I can go.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Oh, that's a very good question. I wanted to talk about that. And thank you for asking, because this scholarship is about you. It's about standing out. I used to say you have to stand out. And how do you stand out? It should cut across all the parts of your application, your references, your storytelling skills in your statements, your extracurricular activities. For personally, I have, when I was all my life, all my time in school, I've always had leadership experience. I always like to join places in the classrooms where I have to participate in making decisions for my class. I also do a lot of volunteering. um, I volunteered online for companies in Ethiopia, in Kenya, in Lebanon, in across Africa. Apart from that, I have, when I wrote my statement, the final statement that got me in, it was a personal statement. That's what it's called, personal statement. It was personal in a way that, like you said, mentioned, you have to write about you from the heart. Like the introduction alone, if you read my statement, the first introduction, you start crying. In fact, you'll be like, give him the scholarship already, you know. So you have to learn how to channel those writing capabilities, writing skills in a way that you convince the panel that you are the best or you are one of the best. I mean, you don't need to do a lot. You just have to be strategic. Okay. Um, yeah, I guess so. Standing out means that you have to do something different. You have to have things in your pocket that other people don't have. Like have it, like Hussein was a CEO before applying. Um,
Beautiful.
he had a lot of things going on. In my own experience, I also had like things going on, which I wouldn't, because like the nature of my work was a little bit security conscious. But then I was doing something that my references came from all over the world. I had one reference from Germany, from New Zealand, from Texas, and from Nigeria. So, the quality of, there's no way people are going to deny someone with those kind of portfolio. And but you could create it from the work you do and the networks you make. I don't know who's saying, if you have something to add.
Yes, and I think I would uh, follow it up with what you said, and particularly what makes your essay stand out is understanding the strategy that has been coined. We call it STAR method. So that STAR method is talking about the situation, the task, the the action and the result. So looking at that kind of framework, you need to go and study that very well and know how to use it. And basically, it's like I think it's fundamental of storytelling anyway. And there's some other level to storytelling that you need to go ahead and learn. And using of numbers, because when you talk about maybe you serve as the coordinator of so, what do you do? How many lives do you touch? And there's one skill that my friend did do that sometimes when I remember that stuff, I just laugh. But it's very good because it helps to put context to whatever it is. Instead of you maybe like putting everything in days, maybe you volunteer for like 2 days. You might not say 2 days, you say I volunteer for 48 hours. Yeah. When you put it in hours, people understand it more better. But when you put 2 days, you might feel like maybe it's so small. But looking at the amount of hours that you put into the stuff, and talking about the organizing and the likes that really went into the process of the result itself is really very much important. But most times when you understand that strategy, it will help to maybe like put more light into those kind of stuff. And one critical example I want to also make, or let's say, cite here is like around 2020, I was a volunteer with the Abuja Global Shapers Network. I was in Kano volunteering the organization in Abuja. So then there was one of the coordinator then who I reached out to on LinkedIn. He's now a professor now in Canada. When the guy was talking about the impact of the project that we did, we only planted 500 trees, 5,000 trees in Abuja during that COVID period. But when this guy was talking about the impact, even myself, I was like, wow. So this prayer that we did here is so big like this because the guy really emphasized on the fact that with this project during lockdown, we are able to do this kind of projects and taking into the impact of like the risk of you putting yourself into the danger of your health and your likes and still achieving this kind of goal with a lot of organizations across board. Coordinating all this stuff is really huge. But when you're looking at it from maybe like a Nigerian mindset of not trying to exaggerate, not just exaggerate, like trying to talk about what it is exactly, you feel like maybe it's very small. So the little effort you are putting, maybe volunteering, doing an internship and like, it is the way you write it. The way you write it. And using that STAR method, I think it will really help very well. And one other thing I wanted to talk about is the use of ChatGPT or AI. It's really a very good tool, but it can also like weigh down your energy. Sincerely, I think I'll be very much grateful that there's no ChatGPT during our own time then, because though there are all of this Grammarly and the like that for English checking and likes, which is very good. But now I think the ChatGPT is really stealing a lot of people's story like strength. What I mean is like you'll be very much lazy to write your story very well if you're not very careful. So I would just advise the listeners to these webinars to spend that time to write their story and guide the AI to help you to like reinforce it very well so that you can really speak to whatever it is, and particularly paying attention to the numbers and the situation, like the mastermind, like you have to take them on a journey. And one other thing again is the trajectory. Where are you now? Where are you going before maybe like in the next time? Because in 2021 when I failed, or let's say when I got denied from the MasterCard scholarship, I didn't know the reason. The reason was because, and I got to know the reason in 2023. So the reason was because of I was selecting a 3 years program, which the scholars program does not fund. They fund only maximum of 2 years program. So that was why I couldn't got it in that year, in 2023, 2021 rather. So I have to go back again and apply. But within 2021, I was in Yobe State working what's it called it, as an engineer on the sides in a conflict region like that. Very scary stuff. I told Martha then I could remember, So, and from there, I moved on to like from 2021 to 2023 when I did the second interview. I was able to show that my career has really moved from let me say an ordinary site engineer to becoming a senior engineer at a very much reputable company. So that alone has a very huge weight. in your trajectory. It shows that yes, you have what it takes to handle your career very well. Okay, if you spend or invest this amount of money in my career or in my life, I think I can able to manage it very well to bring out something huge from it. Looking at the tragedy that from 2021 that I even got rejected, I did not allow that to even weigh me down. I have to move on to even like become better. So which means that this is evident enough. So looking at that story, and you also need to work. It's not all about maybe like finding a story that really fit very well. So is it really working? And the use of your social media is also very much important. Have your links to wherever it is that maybe for proofreading or whatever, like to show your evidence. So
Mm.
take your pictures, post online, writing, and the way to also boost your writing, let's say like Asana, is like posting regularly, trying to write whatever it is, even though it's just 1 or 2 lines. Writing those stuff online helps you to boost your writing confidence because it
Mm.
comes with confidence on its own. So those kind of strategy, I think, is a way to write a very good story. And no story is very perfect. Just write it because no matter how much you read, you still find a way to write it better. So
Mm.
and don't let that syndrome to affect you not to submit something because at the end of the day, it is still a human being that will read it, and there's still a way of
Mm,
finding meaning in what you've written already.
mm,
So, and I'm saying this because of most of us we go through a kind of self sabotage of maybe like not this is not competitive enough. No,
mm,
it is competitive, and
mm,
that's why you have to maybe like reach out to people that have the time to maybe like profit your stuff. And one other strategy about reaching out is like find people that are close to your level. Don't be looking for CEOs of bigger organizations to profit your work. Find students who are already scholars in that program. Find them. They are the one that will help you. In my own time, I was able to find a guy who was currently a scholar at UC Berkeley to proofread my essay, and it was even the one that gave me a kind of a motivation. A
mm.
just phone call, just 3 hours phone call. Then like remember I was standing for 3 hours. It's not easy.
Wow.
you know, trying to pick a call in the night. Those motivation are what really helped me to maybe like have the confidence to go for the interview. And
Mm.
some of the stuff that you mentioned, I was able to do those research
Mm,
before going for the interview. So these are kind of things that you have to have in mind. So find people that are very closer to your level. You might not find maybe like PhD student or PhD candidate or people that are already professors. Find people that are closer to you that have the time and have the experience too. I think that's basically idea on how to manage your essays very well and also like be strategic.
wow. The responses couldn't have gone any better.
Yeah.
Really. You answered them directly, very detailed, and thank you so much for sharing. And
Yeah.
yes, authenticity matters. Like Uche said, like Hussein said, be yourself, tell your story, right? The AI can do all of that. However, AI does not have emotion.
Mm.
AI wouldn't tell your story as much as it could have gone the other way around. So tell your story, write everything down on your AI can edit things for sure. It's
Mhm.
very useful, like Hussein said. However, you have to be the author of your own story. Write it down, do everything on your own. And of course, how you frame your proposals, how you frame your essays, all of those things matters. Like we said, right? It's not about not having something. You already have this, and it's not only about not getting these admissions, not getting these fully funded scholarships, but how do you go about them? Like if you figure out, you can definitely get it. So you
Mm.
know how to go about it. And when you tell the story, make sure you are very detailed, not only 2 days, make sure for the 4 days.
But you know
um be very vivid, be very
yeah.
explicit, tell that
Yeah.
in details. Don't be maybe, okay, I did that, but what did you do? And also the impacts, like Hussein said, the impacts matter. What you are doing, what is the impact? Okay, if you are studying social environment, or maybe you are studying conflicts, you're studying, folklore, what is the impact? I think telling that story also matters. So thank you both for sharing that. I think that we are way over time. Honestly, I don't want to hold you any longer, but to just conclude, after this webinar and you are wondering, so now that I have this information, now what am I going to do? I still don't know how to go about doing all of these things. Jared Consulting Services can definitely help you do that. This program is dedicated to people like you. In terms of selecting schools, we talked about exploring different opportunities, exploring different countries, exploring different programs, right? If you don't like what you already have. So this program can help you in selecting schools that better fit your need. So reach out to them. Also admission supports, some of you asked about the application processes. We talked about that, how to, I guess, draft a better proposal, a better essay. If you are still confused and you are scared of starting that on your own, reach out to these services. The people, they are very fascinating. They are very helpful. They will definitely help you with all of that. So they will guide you through the application processes. So you do not have to do this on your own. And in terms of scholarship, that's also one of the, I think, important part of of our discussion, right? There's so many different options. There's so many different scholarships out there, but how you go about them really matter. And sometimes even the ones that you are not aware of, these consulting services will definitely help you find all those opportunities and connect you, I guess, with other opportunities that you don't know about them. And visa, travel, of course, it's not about, well, now you get admissions, now you get fully funded scholarship, then what, right? Traveling as an international student, that's also can be very challenging, to be honest. Like the visa processes, the information you have to fill, the steps that you have to take can be very challenging, especially if this would be your first time. So the consulting services definitely can help you with that as well. So you can always reach out. And of course, like sports, academic opportunities, they like Hussein mentioned that reaching out to people who are already doing this, people who went through these experiences is important. And if you don't know, like, okay, now I don't even know anybody that I can reach out to. The consulting services will definitely help you with that. They can help you connect. They can connect you with a lot of experienced PhD students. They can help you connect, I guess, you with us and with others. So reach out to this program. And of course, global network. We talk about the importance of network. Networking is important, not only domestically, but internationally. Connect with people who are already out there, people who left the country for a very long time and they already have these experiences. They will be more than happy to share that with you. So make sure you reach out to these consulting services. And actually, the head of this program used to be my Hausa professor when I was in my undergrad at Notre Dame. So we spoke and he agreed to hold a different section, different webinar to talk more about this program, to talk more about their support, the services they offer. So make sure you are able to join us. If not, I will record and of course share the information with you so that you are able to watch at your convenience. To that end, I would like to thank both our speakers. Thank you both so much for the time, sharing your experiences. I think honestly, they were very insightful and I'm sure people will find it very, very helpful because you were once like them, right? And now
Yeah.
like
we've been there.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm so grateful that they're able to give us their time. You know, PhD can be very challenging, especially the first year. But I was telling them earlier that they are doing much better than I did in my first year of the PhD program. So I'm so proud of both of you. And as you know, I'm always proud of you. And I miss seeing you around the Bay Area for sure. I'm sure you
Yeah.
visit.
We'll
Sure.
come around, don't worry.
Sometime, yeah.
Yeah, you guys should come
Sure.
around. iHouse misses you and Berkeley campus and all of that. So thank you so much. And there are a couple of questions that we weren't able to cover, and some of them regarding direct entry to the PhD program. So I can record, I guess, a short video addressing those questions later. But yeah, if you have a final words you want to, say, if not, then I think this will be our conclusion.
Okay, so I have a final word. Don't give up. I was there. I thought it couldn't work, but here am I in Los Angeles. So let's do it. Come on.
Yeah. So finally, for me, I think what I'll just say is this: just believe in yourself and never ever give up. Because we that you're looking today, we are once like you, and we are also looking at some people who are like this before too. So now, in the next future, you also be the one to be talking to people about scholarships. So believe in yourself and know that your story really matters. So just tell it the best way you can. So all the best.
Yeah, damn. I find that
Yeah.
very helpful. Believe in yourself, don't give up, and one day you will be the one holding this webinar. One day you'll be the one people reaching out for. So don't give up. Your story matters, and what you are interested in really matters, and you can definitely make a difference in your community. So good luck with everything, the application processes, and yeah, thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Bye.
having us.
Of
Bye-bye.
course, have a
Thank
good
you.
rest of your day.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.